Testing. Can you hear me? No?
Test.
Well, that one works too.
Test.
Can you hear me? All right, sorry for all the technical difficulties. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you to the sound team for helping us work things out. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church. This does include our congregations in both Birmingham and Tuscaloosa and anyone listening online. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are today, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Today, we are honored to have Allison from the ACIJ here with us this morning, as Reverend Julie is preaching in Tuscaloosa as part of our partnership. To all who are here this morning, welcome home. The prelude prepares us for worship. A child journeys far from home, fearful and brave, in need of safe harbor. Guided by this chalice, may we seek to understand the causes of flight. Like the comfort of a candle flickering in a window of darkness, let us welcome this child into our home with warmth, nourishment, and love. Would we not want the same for our own child, lost and alone in a strange land? Un niño viaja lejos de su casa, temeroso y valiente, careciendo de un puerto de asilo, irados por este cáliz. Tratemos de comprender las causas de huir, como el consuelo de una vela encendida en una ventana oscura. Demos bienvenida a este niño a nuestra casa con simpatía, alimento y cariño. ¿No quisiéramos lo mismo por nuestro propio niño perdido y solo en tierra extranjera. In the spirit of inclusivity and welcome, please take a few moments to greet those around you, especially those you may not recognize. Folks online, please greet each other in the chat.
morning. If you will find a hardback gray hymnal, our opening hymn is 148. We'll sing all verses of Let Freedom Span both east and west. As you are able, I invite you to stand.
And now Viana will come for our Justice Minute.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to briefly discuss the Transgender Day of Visibility, which is March 31st. That's Tuesday. Transgender Day of Visibility is an annual day of recognition celebrated around the world on March 31st, which is dedicated to celebrating the accomplishments and victories of transgender and gender-expansive people, while simultaneously raising awareness of the work that is still needed to combat discrimination and violence. You can educate yourself and others, hear trans stories, uplift trans visibility, support trans-led organizations, be an ally, support trans equality, engage with policy changes, show your support publicly. We love to do that here. Attend or organize TDOV events, use correct pronouns and names, educate for inclusive policies. Now, I have left pamphlets and stickers, we all love stickers, around the sanctuary and out in the narthex, just to give you a little bit of information and such that's going on here in Birmingham and around the state. And Reverend Julie is hosting a Trans Day of Visibility event here on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Now we have member of the board, Kylie, to come give us some information.
Board member hat today. Good morning, I am Kylie. Please read the bottom of your connection card before you turn it in. I love to say they're dated. We can't reuse them, so please make sure you fill it out. We have lots of volunteer opportunities coming up. We would love some adult enrichment folks to come and sign up. Our church is supported by those who call our church home and by those who support the efforts of our church to change our world for the better. If this is your first time with us, please just pass the plate. We are so glad that you are here. We share our cash plate every Sunday with organizations whose work reflects UU values. And since this is the 5th Sunday, we are using the funds for the minister. It's not the minister's discretionary fund? Oh, my bad, I have the old script. So which one is it? It's the ACIJ. Our wonderful person is talking about that today. My apologies, I have an outdated script. So, we appreciate your donations, either by placing them in the plate, by mailing your donation to the church, or by using PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. Do not look in your order of service, it's the wrong information, but we're gonna hear wonderful information about ACIJ today. Thank you for your generous support of our church and our Share the Plate recipient. May we give in love and in hope.
Thank you. It's beautiful as always. Now we turn our minds and hearts towards one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all of those who need our love and support. Those who are ill, those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. Today, we celebrate with Artemis Hill and his mother for her good news. Today, we lift up all those who are targeted by the anti-immigration policies of this regime, the family and loved ones torn apart, the profiling, and all the other evils which divide us. We also lift up folks hurting in our own community, Keeley and Lilith on the loss of Keeley's grandfather, Aaron McLeod, whose grandmother, Betty, is having health concerns, and Julie Reardon, who is still in the hospital and who would love visits. For those of you online, please share yours in our online chat and hold one another in love through your typed words. For those of you in person, I invite you to come forward to drop a stone in honor or in memory of what is on your heart today. Please come forward. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation, followed by a moment of silence. Friends, it has been another challenging week in our world. I want to invite us to start with some silence, time to reconnect with our breath and reground ourselves. Let's be in silence together. This week brought many assaults in the political arena on values that we hold dear. May this time of quiet be an opportunity to touch peace within ourselves, to tap new springs of courage, resolve, and hope. We know that none of us alone can hold all that must be held or do all that must be done, but may each of us be led toward that work which is ours to do. And as a community, may we feel our strength together and use it for good as best as we can. In this spirit, we name our concern for this land and for its people and for the people of the world. For refugees turned away from airports, we pray for safe harbor. We pray for all immigrants who fear for their safety and the safety of their families and loved ones. May they be well and safe. May all who are moved to action in these times be clear and strong and compassionate in our response. We also hold all those tender personal concerns which are close to our hearts this day. I invite you now to speak aloud the names of any whom you would like to lift up into the care of this community, or simply hold them in your heart in silence. May they be well. May they feel the love that surrounds them. We close with a few more breaths in silence. Amen and blessed be.
Good morning. I'd love to invite all the children and youth to come forward for a story. Okay, I was like, please don't leave me up here by myself. I get lonely. Everybody's staring at me, you guys. I don't know what to do. Hello, hello, hello. There's more. I think some of us are just going to stay in our seats. It's okay. Oh, wait, here comes some more. Oh, we're good. Okay. All right, my friends, so I have a story for you today. So in our Unitarian Universalist faith, we talk about this interdependent web of all existence, right? You guys have heard about this once or twice. I think I've talked about it like 72 times from this very microphone. But when we say that, we mean that we're all connected. People, animals, the earth, everyone. So even people we haven't met yet, or even people who live far away, or even people whose lives look very different than ours. So let's imagine this web kind of like a string that we're all holding on to, everyone in the world. And when something happens to one person, it sends a little tug through the string. Can you imagine that? That you're holding and you feel a little tug when something happens. So sometimes those tugs are joyful though, right? Sometimes it's when people laugh, or when maybe a new baby is born, or a family finds a safe home. Those tugs feel light, almost like a gentle ripple of happiness traveling from one heart to another. But sometimes those tugs are more heavy. Sometimes a family has to leave their home, not because they want to, but because it's not safe for them anymore. Sometimes people travel very far, leaving behind people and places that they love, hoping to find safety, freedom, a chance to begin again. And sometimes when they arrive, instead of being welcomed, they're treated unfairly or even separated from the people that they love the most. And that tug feels very different. That tug feels tight. It feels heavy. It can make the whole web tremble. So even when we don't see it happening right in front of us, we are still connected to it. And deep inside, we can feel, that's not fair. That's not kind. That's not the world we want to live in. So now I want you to imagine something more powerful. What if, when that hard tug happens, people all over the world pay attention? What if they don't ignore it and try to look away? What if they listen carefully for those moments when the web trembles? What if they say, I feel that. I care about that. I'm going to do something. You might hear grown-ups sometimes talk about something called rapid response. Anybody heard that one before? They're so excited. Oh, you've seen it. Oh, a trivia question about rapid response. It's a kind of trivia question. This is a little different than like the ones, but yeah, same idea. It's something that happens fast. So rapid response means that when someone in our community is in danger, well, at least the rapid response I'm talking about, not in a trivia sense. So the rapid response is that when someone in our community is in danger or needs help, people don't wait. They show up right then. They make sure that phone calls are made so that others know what's happening. They bring food or water or find a place for people to rest. They stand nearby so that no one has to face anything scary all alone. They use their voices, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, to say, that's not right. We care about this person. We belong to each other. It's like the web waking up all at once to say, we are connected and we're going to act like it. So, I need y'all to try something. You're gonna have to use your imagination. You ready? Did your eyes just cross? Don't break your imagination, oh my goodness. So, I need everybody to imagine that they feel a tug on that tiny string in their hands. That tiny tug. Even just pretending, we can imagine how a small movement travels across the web. Now, imagine that that tug is someone who needs help. So instead of a tug, let's send a wave back through that one. Your fingers and send back care. That's what it would look like if we respond with love, courage, and care. The wave says, you're not alone. We see you, we're with you. And rapid response is an important thing. It helps people in urgent, sometimes scary moments. It can be the difference between someone feeling alone and someone feeling supported. But our faith, our Unitarian Universalist faith, calls us to go beyond that too. Because after the moment of crisis passes, that web is still there. We're still all connected. So going beyond means asking, how do we make fewer of these painful tugs happen in the first place? We can learn about people's stories, especially stories that are different than our own. It's pretty interesting to find out about people who are different than you. We can practice welcoming new folks by welcoming them into our friendship, into our congregations with smiles, making spaces for everyone to belong. We can speak up for fairness. I know you guys like to speak up when things are unfair. It's usually me being unfair somehow, though. But speak up for kindness in our communities, too. Notice when someone feels left out or is treated unfairly. Build relationships across different languages, cultures, and experiences. And sometimes going beyond is as simple and as powerful as choosing kindness again and again. Each small act is another thread of the web. Each act of care makes the web stronger. So each time we include someone, we stand up for someone, or we listen deeply to someone, We're helping build a world where more people can live with safety and dignity. Our UU values teach us we believe in the worth and dignity of every person, and every person means every person, no matter where they're from, what language they speak, or how they came to be here with us. No exceptions, no conditions. So when the web trembles, we don't look away. We listen, and then we keep going. We keep building, we keep connecting, we keep choosing love again and again, because this web isn't finished. We are still weaving it together. And every act of courage, every act of welcome, every act of care, we help create a stronger, kinder, more just world. The end. Grown-up friends, could you sing us downstairs for some community time?
Thank you. So before I go to Allison's biography, I just wanted to give you a little bit more information. So we've been saying ACIJ, that is the Alabama Coalition for Immigrant Justice. So we're using the acronym ACIJ because that's a lot to say. But they are a group of individuals who actually do a lot. They're individuals and organizations working for the rights and dignity of all people by cultivating just policies, encouraging grassroots leadership and participation, building alliances, and amplifying the voices and contributions of immigrants in Alabama. And we are so fortunate to have Allison here today to speak to us. So now I want to give you a little bit of information about Miss Allison. She has worked for the Alabama Coalition for Immigrant Justice since 2018. She first joined as a finance consultant, but she was quickly drawn into other aspects of ACIJ's work. After serving as interim director, she was hired as executive director in spring of 2024. She has also worked for Greater Birmingham Ministries, which is an interfaith economic justice nonprofit. Prior to that, she lived and worked in New York for 8 years as a finance and operations consultant for many small businesses. She holds a master's degree in public health and a bachelor's degree in comparative religious studies. She's passionate, like most of us, about human rights and empowering community members to advocate for themselves and others. So please join me in welcoming Allison to our pulpit.
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay? I don't want to mess with the mic. Can you hear me? Okay, great. So I'm Allison, already introduced. So thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really honored to be able to speak to y'all about our work at ACIJ and a little bit about what it means to me. Because I think, like was just talked about with the interdependence, something that has really kept me so deeply involved with ACIJ over the years is the fact that everything that we do at ACIJ also impacts me. It's about my personal growth as much as it is about the growth of our organization, about the growth of our movement, and that's really what I love about it. So just a little background on ACIJ. We started as a coalition maybe 2004, 2006. One of your congregation members, Helen, actually was a co-founder, so she could probably tell you, but it started off as a coalition of people who were concerned about immigrant justice in Alabama. Then when HB 56 passed in Alabama in 2011, this coalition really started growing, right? As more people were very concerned about this extremely anti-immigrant law that was passed in Alabama that was designed to make the lives of immigrants in Alabama unlivable. Finding people at schools, at work, at home, terrorizing people on the streets. It was a horrible law, and it also garnered a lot of national attention. So organizations that work in immigrant justice around the country started sending in people to help. And that was also part of what built ACIJ into the organization it is today. So something that's really critical about our work is that we are really focused on grassroots community organizing and leadership development in immigrant communities. That means that we recognize we can't advocate for immigrants, we advocate as immigrants with immigrants together. That's the most critical thing. And I'm actually not an immigrant, but that's something that keeps me really grounded in the work, is that we have to be led by the people who are most affected by what we're trying to do, right? So some other things that ACIJ has done over the years is a lot of advocacy for DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. There was also DAPA for parents of American citizens. That program unfortunately never came to pass. But both of those were major points when ACIJ mobilized people to the national level in Washington, D.C. to advocate. Since then, we've also advocated for voting rights. We were involved in a lawsuit a year and a half ago where they were trying to remove naturalized citizens from the voting rolls in Alabama, which is very illegal. And luckily, that was overturned. We've also done advocacy related to COVID-19. As many of you may or may not be aware, if you were an immigrant in the United States, you were not eligible for financial assistance during COVID-19, meaning that many people who do the most essential jobs, producing our food, working in poultry processing here in Alabama, for example, were forced to continue working without protective equipment, without any support. So we ended up fundraising to do mutual aid at that point to support those families because they couldn't afford groceries, they couldn't afford to live, but they were also doing this work that was keeping us all alive. We also advocated for vaccine access. Many people were asked, you may have gotten a COVID-19 vaccine and you would have been asked for your social security number. Well, if you're an immigrant without like a permanent status, you don't have one. And so we ended up organizing vaccine clinics with local support at the Latino grocery stores, where we didn't ask for any of that, and we vaccinated over 1,000 people. We've also advocated for labor rights, right? This is a really important part of the work because immigrants are often here to do the work that many of us don't want to do. And they're subjected to really difficult work conditions. They're subjected to wage theft all the time, all kinds of difficult situations. And there are some protections that can be given to immigrants under federal or state laws. And so we were working as much as we could to get immigrants that support when they were facing these issues. But unfortunately, we realized that those laws are not enough. We've also done family reunification programs where we helped people get visas for their parents in Mexico to come visit them here. Many people have lived here for 20 or 30 years, have never been able to go back home because it would be a one-way trip. And so we were able to get their parents' visas to come visit them, to reunite after 20 to 30 years of separation. And now we're developing campaigns to protect people from immigration enforcement here in Alabama. The main focuses that we're looking at right now are students and workers as two areas that we want to build a campaign around. So ACIJ's work is, again, it's advocacy, rights, and civic engagement. So we advocate the state and national levels for policy change. We fight bad bills. Like some of you probably are aware, there have been many bad bills in the Alabama legislature over the last couple of years. And we advocate against those. We mobilize people to the state house to fight those bills. And we ask people to call their representatives and all of that. So that's part of what we do. But a really critical part of how we advocate is we want our people there. We are not paid lobbyists. Like, I'm not a paid lobbyist. I don't go to the State House and build a one-on-one relationship with the legislator to try to convince them that it's a bad idea. Instead, my job is to make sure we're mobilizing large amounts of affected community members to show up and make those politicians do what they said they would do. Not because they like me, but because we have people power. And that's kind of how we operate when it comes to advocacy. For rights, we do everything we can to educate people about their rights. Many of us, including me, did not know my constitutional rights, right? Immigrants certainly don't realize they have rights. A lot of immigrants think, I don't have rights because I'm not a full citizen. Well, the Constitution actually gives most of us rights without citizenship. And so that's a lot of the work that we do, is just educating people about what their rights are and how to know if they're being violated and what to do when they are violated. Another thing that we do is trying to give people legal access, trying to give them access to support when they have an opportunity. Or if their rights are violated, we connect them with civil rights groups. But for other people, they have a path. Maybe they have some kind of case for their immigration status could be adjusted, but there are barely any lawyers here and they're extremely expensive. So we try our best to connect people with resources, with pro bono opportunities when we can find them. We also help people right now with powers of attorney. So many people are families here. If someone in your family is detained, most people are worried about what happens to their children, right? Maybe their children are US citizens or maybe not, but what happens if mom, dad, or both of them, or whoever's the caretaker, gets detained? That's why we do power of attorneys with local lawyers to help people designate somebody they trust who can take guardianship for that child temporarily. These are the kinds of services we've been working on this year. That's all part of sort of the rapid response to this administration's attack on immigrants, right? Legal access, trying to give people those pathways, letting them know about their rights. And the last thing that we've been doing is mobilizing community to fight back, mobilizing community to watch what's going on, to observe and to document. And that's why you might have seen BHAM Migro Watch. There's also Migro Watches in other parts of the state that have been building up. But these are programs of volunteers that are trained to go out when there's ICE sightings or reported ICE activity and document it. Put it on camera, show faces, show identity, show what's going on. Because so much of what happens in immigration enforcement happens in the shadows. And so it's really important for us to make it public. And also, it's really important for immigrants here in Alabama to know that somebody cares that they're disappearing, because they are. It makes me tear up because I know so many people who've lost multiple people in their family over the course of a month. I know one guy lost his sister-in-law, his brother, and his daughter's boyfriend, all in the course of 2 weeks. All just independently picked up here in Pelham and Alabaster, just detained on their way to work. None of them had any kind of reason to be detained other than the fact that they were undocumented. That's happening every day here, and it continues to happen. And I don't know how to put it into words, the impact that it has. And I don't know her name, but the children's person was talking about the web, right? These things impact us. Whether we realize it or not, we feel this pain. It is everywhere around us. And maybe you don't know what it is, but we're all feeling the grief of these kinds of separations, of what's happening underneath the surface. Even if we don't see it, we know something's wrong. And that's where we are right now. So the fundraising is really to help us with this rapid response, because we did not budget for this level of rapid response. I don't know how you budget for this, but we are trying to to hire a full-time staff member who can help us run this, because I've been doing a lot of it with our organizers, but their job is really to be building leadership and power in immigrant communities. And so we need somebody who can help us run this, that can help us train all these volunteers. And thank God we have many. We have hundreds of volunteers who've signed up and been trained through this, and it's still growing. So I really encourage you guys to get involved. But the only other thing I wanted to mention about ACIJ is just that the thing that really makes ACIJ different and special to me is that it is really about changing how we build relationships with each other. The work that we do at ACIJ is deep and heartfelt and difficult because we have discussions with each other all the time about how we treat each other, how we are in relationship. For us at ACIJ, it is really important that we not do anything only focused on what we want to get out of it, but we always have to focus on how we're doing it. We always have to make sure that we're putting the people who are affected in the front when it comes to making the decisions, making the plans. And we have to talk when we have conflict, because we do, right? We're an organization that focuses on building solidarity in a society, in a world where everybody is really taught not to do that. We don't know how to live in solidarity with each other when we have disagreements. So we have to have a lot of conversations at ACIJ about white supremacy, about systemic racism, about how these things have perpetuated not only the United States, but also like many of our countries of origin, right? That these things are global systems that we've all been impacted by. So when all of us come together as immigrants from all over the world, we have to talk about how these systems are impacting our own thinking and our ability to be in relationship with each other. And it's really important for people like me, like allies, to also participate in that conversation, right? And to recognize how deeply those systems impact what we're advocating against, but also have impacted how I live my life in the world. So I've had to learn how to be different as a human being, how to be more vulnerable, how to talk about my fears, my pain, and not push that down just because it's my job. Because this is more than a job for me, it's a life, it's a community, and it's about me being in relationship with people who want to see a major change in the world. So for y'all, I guess I just wanted to share that because of, the values of the Unitarian Church. And I think that that's really so admirable that you're practicing that here in this community. And I wanted to share that ACIJ is also a community where we practice those values. So I think long-term, talking about rapid response and beyond, the only other thing I want to say is just that what we are really looking for long-term, beyond what's happening right now, beyond fighting back, is, and I have some notes because I always forget the full list. We are looking for citizenship for all undocumented people and a pathway to status for everyone. And we want to dismantle ICE, CBP, and the Department of Homeland Security, right? These are the most critical things. Everywhere I go, the question is always like, well, why don't people just apply for citizenship and then they wouldn't have this problem? Well, there's no application. Right? Our immigration system is designed for wealthy people to immigrate safely and for everyone else to immigrate unsafely so that they may be exploited as a worker in our low-income states, right? It's a replacement for slavery. It's a continuation of the same practice, just the same as we allow slavery in our prisons, right? These systems are intrinsically connected. And so that is what I try to help people understand, that you have to advocate for a total change to our immigration system. And then, of course, we want to decriminalize migration. It shouldn't be a criminal system that regulates immigration in the first place. We shouldn't have people double punished if they end up in the criminal justice system and then they're deported after serving a sentence. We want to end that. We want to end state and local law enforcement being involved at all with immigration. And we want equity for LGBTQ plus immigrants. We also want a right to equitable access to asylum, protections for gender-based violence and harm, and community support for new arrivals to this country. These all sound like pipe dreams, right? Which is insane, because this is what it means to have a normal community, right? This is what we would expect in a healthy community that welcomes people. And yet these seem to be so far off the agenda of many of our political leaders. And so it's our job to put them back on the agenda and to let them know, like, this is not only like important, but this is obvious. And you should have done this 50 years ago. And the last thing is that we want access to federal programs for health, nutrition, and housing for anyone who needs it, regardless of their immigration status. We want meaningful access to public education for everyone. And we want equitable access for labor protections for everyone. So I know that's like kind of a long list. And I mean, a lot of those things, but I think something that's really important to highlight from this is not separate from the fight for Black liberation, right? This is not separate from the fight for abolition of prisons. These things are all connected. Indigenous sovereignty. All these fights are connected because they're all about the same principle of we need to undo this harmful system that our country has been built on, that everyone has been hurt by. Every single one of us has been harmed by the system that we're living in, whether we realize it or not. We're harmed. I'm harmed every time that I have to play out the role of a capitalist peon, right? Like every time I have to go do my work, 9 to 5 work and clock in and prove my worth to continue to survive in this society, that's harm done to me. That's a message that I receive that I am not worthwhile unless I'm doing my job, unless I'm being productive. And that's a harm that's been done to so many humans across the world. And so all of these things are about refocusing on the fact that we have value and dignity and worth because we are human, not because of what we do or how we perform. So that's my soapbox, but ultimately ACIJ is all those things, and that's truly why I love it, because I have never worked in a place where I felt so safe in being my full self, in being able to really embrace who I am, and I've never felt so happy to create that space for others, especially people who are immigrants who have often not been given the space to be their full selves, who have been expected to only be the worker, to only be the good immigrant, to play the roles that they're told they have to play. At ACIJ, they don't have to play a role. They can bring their full selves, complicated or not, and we welcome them in our community, and we welcome you in our community. So thank you.
If you would find a softback teal hymnal and turn to 1017, and if you feel inspired, moved to join our congregation, Ramsey will be delighted to welcome you on behalf of Reverend Julie. And so you're invited to come forward while we're singing. 10:17, let's stand as we're able and sing all verses.
We have a couple of announcements. Please make sure that you look into your order of service. There are quite a few events coming up. Make sure, if you haven't already, fill out your connection card and drop it in. There are a lot of events and upcoming things that we need help with. So please let us know if you're interested or if you have questions. As was mentioned earlier, our Trans Day of Visibility service is this Tuesday, March 31st. Please invite the trans folks in your life to this service that it will be about them. At 6 o'clock. Thank you, Ruth. Our church auction is live. Please log on and bid. The auction will be open all month, and we will have a closing celebration and item pickup on April the 5th. Faith in Action is hosting an organizer training here for 3 weeks starting April 19th. I do believe that that's inside the order of service as well, giving you that information. So if you're interested in the techniques for our justice work, or you even have a friend who may be interested, please have them join us, or you come too. Last but not least, we have a couple of announcements. Firstly, from the decorating committee, Evelyn Dolphin's sanctuary exhibit, which is dotted on our beautiful walls, will be coming down after today's service. So this is your final opportunity to enjoy her paintings and make a purchase. Instructions are on the envelope inside the white loose leaf binder on the small table next to the main sanctuary door, so over there. And then I do believe we have one announcement from Paul, and then, we have a couple of announcements, so I'll start with Paul because he's closest to me.
I'm Paul Massel with the Finance Committee, and in April, WBHM will be having its fundraising. So if you are a contributor to WBHM, if you give the money to UUCB and put WBHM in the for line, then when we get to a certain point, we'll be able to give them that money, and we'll get some shout outs on the radio. and we've done this several times in the past. It's been successful. We have some funds already, but we'll need to, that their fundraiser's coming up. So if you listen to WBHM, you'll hear about it. So just think about that. Appreciate it.
Good morning. So I'm here to talk to you guys about General Assembly. It's coming up in June, and as President Julie announced last week, we're going to be a remote host site. The planning group has already started meeting. We're meeting again tomorrow, and we're very excited to show off our church and the city of Birmingham to fellow UUs from around the country. We have many opportunities to participate, including 5 delegate spots to attend General Assembly. If you're interested in attending, please see myself or President Julie. The board will vote to approve the 5 delegates to represent our congregation. And if you want to know more about what it's like to be a delegate, you can see Kylie Kerr. There she is. She'll tell you all about it. As a host site, we will also be looking for people to host out-of-town attendees in their home, provide transportation, and volunteer in various capacities. We're going to have a sign-up coming soon for those for anyone who wants to help, but you guys be on the lookout. Thank you.
I think that's all the announcements, but if I missed any, let me know. Okay, perfect. In honor of the legacy of our ancestors, let us carry the flame forward as we extinguish the chalice. Before I extinguish it, I do just want to briefly say, on behalf of everyone, to the immigrant family seeking a safe place for their children's dreams, we are with you in that. To the trans teenager longing for a world that accepts them for who they are, we say, we are with you in that. To the Black and brown parents wondering, when will the lives of their children truly matter? When will the lives of my children truly matter? I know you guys are with me in that. To the lonely, to the frightened, the dispossessed, we all say, we're with you in that. To the bullied, the battered down, the broken one, we say, we are with you. To the hungry and the homeless, to the silenced and the shamed, to the weary and the worried, we are with you in that. To all those for whom your disheveled heart is aching, please repeat with me, we are with you in that. Thank you.